participation for the county of Nairobi, capital city. The public participation at the Bomas of Kenya was presided over by select ODM members of parliament from Nairobi County, who repeatedly asserted that the event was for invited guests only. My Lord, it is our submission that that is a mockery of effective public participation under the Constitution. And you'll find what I'm saying in the exhibit, my Lord, in exhibit marked RG 5 in volume 6, page 757 to 758. And also exhibit marked RG 7 in volume 6, page 764 to 765. Lord, the second issue I would like to highlight is the rush from the word go, that the entire process was conducted by the National Assembly through to the Senate, breakneck speed, lightning speed. And the question that arises is why this speed? And our submission is that the only inference that can be drawn, and we drew, and we invite the Honorable Court to draw, is that there was a predetermined result that the National Assembly and the Senate were rushing to achieve. Technical perception that they were doing what the Constitution requires, when in fact nothing of the sort was happening. Lord, if you look at paragraph 8, 9, and 10, and 11, and they appear from page 8 of our written submission. Paragraph 8, the Lord, you see, the respondent, the third respondent, convened a session of the Senate on 8 October 2024, which then passed a resolution that the plenary would hear and consider. And I pause here to emphasize the word plenary, because both the Constitution and the standing orders of the Senate divide impeachment proceedings into stages: committee and plenary. And if the person to be impeached is to get any fairness, fair trial in the impeachment, the Senate cannot legally, constitutionally bypass the committee. It is the committee that accords an opportunity to the person to be impeached to be fully heard, not the plenary. And we will be highlighting our understanding, our interpretation of the law, that the rules of natural justice and on a correct interpretation of the relevant provisions of the Constitution and the standing orders, it was not open to the Senate to bypass the committee of the Senate, where the law gives the Deputy President the first petition, the opportunity before a smaller committee to fully present his evidence, be represented, and be heard. And the 10 days that later the Senate imposed itself on, refer to the committee of the Senate, not to the plenary. Lord, paragraph 9, hearing before the Senate commenced a schedule on 16th of October 2024, when the Honorable Mwengi Mutuse's evidence was fully discredited in cross-examination. This report will be taken through all that with my learned friends here. Number 10, paragraph 10, on 17th of October 2024, that was on the second day of the hearing, the Senate allocated the Deputy President 2 hours to present his case. You will see, and you will be addressed, my lords, the fact that somehow the National Assembly was allocated 3 hours. Yet, the person that was being impeached was the Deputy President of the National Assembly. Lord, all these and many more is evidence of clear bias on the part of the National Assembly, despite on the part of the Senate, despite the Senate being presided, and I must state this, by a speaker who I personally have the highest regard for as a professional. But on the second day, and I'm looking at paragraph 10, when the Deputy President was supposed to present his case in the 2 hours that he had been allocated, he fell ill and was rushed to hospital for urgent medical attention. Rejecting the request for adjournment, the Senate voted to impeach the Deputy President on 5 out of the 11 counts. And you find all that in RG 11, volume 9, pages 1689 to 1725, response by Rigathi Gachagua. And also RG 12, volume 9, pages 1752 to 1758, communication to Lord, the third matter I wish to very quickly draw the court's attention to in this introduction background is the absolute failure for both the National Assembly and the Senate to address their minds to the threshold that the Constitution lays down for impeachment of a person elected into office by a plurality of votes. And here, my Lord, permit me to draw the court's attention to the fundamental distinction between presidential systems of government and parliamentary systems of government. In a parliamentary system of government, members of parliament are entitled and have the right to kick the Prime Minister out of office simply by passing a no confidence resolution. No one can question the members of parliament why they had lost confidence in the Prime Minister. There are many examples of the parliamentary system. England is a parliamentary system. India is a parliamentary system. And in fact, although in South Africa they call their CEO president, it's actually a parliamentary system because the president of South Africa is elected not by a plurality of votes, but by votes, a majority of votes.